This is Why My Business Works, a podcast for creative business owners building their business their own way. We talk to interior designers and architects running firms of all shapes, sizes, ages, origins, and philosophies to show that there is no prescription for success, whatever that means. I'm Megan Dolly, strategist, CFO, and your hostess. And today we get to spend some time with Janiece Lonvelin from Orange County. She started her career in fashion, but it was renovating her own home that sparked a whole new path in interior design. Now she's running a thriving firm with a team of 3 and keeping 6 to 10 projects in motion while figuring out how to carve out more balance in her life. What struck me about Janiece is the heart she brings to her work. She's honest about the overwhelm, growing pains, and the lessons she's learned. She takes trust very seriously. She's intentional about learning from mentors and peers, bringing their wisdom into her practice in a way that feels authentic and thoughtful. When she talks about the responsibility of managing clients' savings and dreams, you realize how deeply she cares about getting it right. Rare mix of warmth, grit, and creativity in her that makes you want to lean in and hear more of her story. Welcome, Janiece. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you, Megan. I'm excited to chat today.
Yeah, me too. I've been looking forward to this. So let's hop right in with the data, the numbers. I did mention that you run about 6 to 10 projects at a time. Still true from last time we spoke?
Right now, we currently have about 9.
Okay.
Trying to wrap up a few.
You're at the top end of that range.
Yeah,
How long
which
have you been in business?
I have been in business for 4.5 years now, even though
Okay.
it feels like it's been a decade, but 4.5 years.
It's like a new phase of life. A new door is opened and something begins and you forget when it starts. What does your staff look like? What's the structure of your staff?
My staff is myself. I'm the principal designer. I have an assistant, Jenny. She's my assistant designer. And then I have my husband, who is our. So it's really great. I love how we all come together because we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And it's such a beautiful collaborative team.
Okay, we're going to talk about having your husband in a business in a little bit, but I'm going to get through these data parts first. Talk to me about the size of your projects. What's the range of how small do you go and how big do you go?
Yeah, we have a good variety. So we can go, right now we're doing a new build down to a single room refresh and everything in between. So it really varies. Sometimes we're doing just focus on design, furnishing and styling for a full home, or we're just doing the revamp of kitchen, bathrooms, and things like that.
And your preferred pricing model.
Preferred pricing model. I started off a flat fee and realized that hybrid was the best model for us. We do a flat fee for the design phases, and then implementation phase, we switch to an hourly. So that has been really helpful in our business.
And is there a specific niche or style that you provide?
We do a lot of transitional design, mixing modern and traditional, that balance of both. I love that design. It feels timeless. You can go a little bit more traditional in one design or more contemporary and modern in another style. That is our niche. And then we do a lot of full home renovations and remodels.
I want to back up into how you decided to go to a more mixed model between the flat fee and the hourly rate. Was there a moment or something on a report or a frustration that caused that shift to happen?
Yeah. So I realized after just my first project that estimating the hours I would need for a project that I would be on for 2 to 3 years was ridiculous. It was just not profitable. The design fee and the design phase is something I could keep more control of because I'm creating the calendar. I know how many meetings we need, how many rounds of revisions are included. But the part that gets a little chaotic is the implementation construction because you're bringing on different contractors. The client may say, I want to get bids from 5 contractors, or I'm good with this one. The construction can be split into 2. The client decided she wanted to turn her project into a phased approach. When we got into the construction part, I lost a lot of money on that project. I started working with Nancy Quinn pretty recently, and she was like, no, you need to change your business model, the way you're pricing things out. And I was like, I know. But it was just green light, let's do it. Just in that first project, I noticed a difference dramatically where every hour is valuable to me and the client because they're paying. My old way of working, I would be there probably twice a week if needed, every week. Now I'm only there for crucial meetings, and the clients reach out to me for things that really need my involvement. It's not like, oh, now I decided to change this fixture, or we want, there's so many little things that the client starts to change as the project evolves. I didn't want to be a stickler of like, it was just like, okay, just get through this project and lesson learned. That was a really bad lesson that you learn in the beginning. Lesson learned. That's how I take it now. I feel like every lesson is just like, okay, lesson learned. I'm going to write that down. How am I learning from this and how am I moving on?
Those lessons are either going to come, like I play bridge, and when I was learning, the guy who was teaching me, my partner, he's like, you're going to make that same mistake 3 or 4 times until it's a really costly mistake, and then it's going to stick.
So I tell my assistant all the time, this was the problem we had this week or this month. And this is how we're going to change our process. And this is the lessons that we've learned. I don't want to go through things multiple times, especially it gets really costly. It's an expensive field to be in.
Yeah. And I like the piece that you said, like how your clients would start to value your time more and not come to you with those little things. Do you think that was because they knew they were going to be charged, or do you think part of it was just the vibe that you started bringing to the projects and that was the result?
I believe that it was them understanding that what they were asking was outside of the scope of work. And if I was to do it, they would be billed for it. I would be pulling time from the retainers that I've billed them for to do what they're asking me to do. And that could lead to them having to pay additional hours. So I see them being more thoughtful with whatever they're asking of me. I am finding myself being less involved in the project during the construction part, where before it was I was getting calls every day. Can you be here tomorrow? We're actually doing this right now. Can you come over? It was just brutal. It was not a life I was wanting to live. So this thing has dramatically changed my life and my business. Like you said, the clients value your time more.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a year.
Okay. So when you and I were talking about finding that balance and finding some place to rest within your business, that's almost quite recent.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in business, like I said, 4.5 years, and the first 3 years has been really just trial and error, trying to, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just refining my process and learning. I have always been able to establish a relationship with my clients, that trust and almost like friendship. So I
Mhm.
haven't had any issues there, but it's just now when I start a new project, they know what's expected from both the parties coming together. It's just clear now. Maybe I didn't address something the right way or bring it up. So how could I bring it up halfway through the project? I've set myself up where I have a meeting before every phase. I talk about what you can expect, how we're going to get through this. These are almost like the do's and don'ts, and in a way to benefit them, because I want to be able to give them the quality service, be there for them, and have a smooth project. We're both aligned on that. We both want the project to be as smooth as possible. So this is how we're going to get there.
Okay. I wrote down in my notes last time we spoke, I think I wrote down the word trust like 4 different times. It's a big theme with you, right? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I build that trust with my clients from the very first call. I love that almost friendly relationship. They can trust me with their home. They can trust me with their feedback, whether it's not good or whatever the case may be. So building that trust for me as a designer is huge, because that's where I can truly design the best. I can be there for them when they need me in terms of executing the project, being their liaison to contractors and trades, and really understanding what they need or want. If there's any changes that need to happen, I know that they're trusting me with the decision. I do a lot of work up front in building that trust. And how I do that is really showing up as professional as I can and really listening to them and making sure everything is organized. Our process from beginning to end is clearly laid out. They know what they need to give me if there's any feedback or anything pending. They know the next meeting, they have their calendar invites. It's very clear. They know that I'm doing this so we can stay on track and I don't miss anything. They see that from the very beginning. And that's the feedback I get from clients when they say what made them decide to go with me versus another designer, how organized and clear I was on our process and how we do things. That really just trickles in through the whole thing, because once you get to the design part, everyone's happy and you're pulling together inspiration. It's great. Even when you're presenting, I've been a designer for 15 years at this point, so I'm really used to getting critiqued. Going through the design is fun. The part that gets a little more intense is when you're going into construction, because you're bringing in different people and communicating the design. Regardless of how good your design drawings are, people take in information differently. I can tell you something and I can tell someone else something, and you guys can receive it completely different. So having to work as a team with contractors and carpenters and making sure that we're all aligned. And if things happen, and typically there are errors or something goes wrong, the client trusts me and the team to make the right decision. I can get through those hard calls that I may need to give or situations that I need to refigure out in the construction part. It just makes it so much smoother as we go through to completion.
So trust is almost a skill, right? You see the elements of what builds that trust. And I also find that when we have a value that we put front and center of our business, we design our processes around to make sure that this trust happens. Sometimes it comes from a place of like, I had a really bad experience and never want to have that for my clients, or that it was just something innate that you grew up with that was like the value that was front and center at all times. Do you lie within those two spots, or is it somewhere in between, or completely different?
For me, when I am talking to them about our process and why we do things, I will bring in some stories. Or if they have a question, I'll tell them, well, this is
Yeah.
why we do it. I'll bring in a story of or a situation that I was in. And it solidifies, okay, let's do it your way. It's like you said, something that I grew up in my environment. Everything that I've done, whether I was in school, I was always wanting to be present and give the best that I could, whether it was a test, a project I was working on, being at work, just giving 100% of myself to whatever it is I was doing because I really wanted that person to be proud. I'm a people pleaser. Like it makes me happy when whoever it is, a gift that I'm giving to someone, they love it. It just makes me feel so good. That's the same thing I bring into my projects. I want my clients to love their design, to love working with me, and to feel comfortable telling me, oh, we went on a vacation and it was great, or I hate this lamp. I want open communication. I don't want there to be any type of hidden situation that they're fostering in their head and building, and then weird relationship. You're working on these projects for so long, anywhere from 6 months to 2, 3 years. So it's brutal to go through something like that when you don't have your client's trust.
Did you ever have a client where it felt like you had to train them to be honest with you instead of just being like, oh, yeah, everything's fine?
I've had a few scenarios. There was one client who's super sweet, very trusting, and she didn't even want to tell me that she didn't like a faucet. Her explanation was, well, you're the designer, and if you like it, then I guess I'll have to like it. Like, no, this is not my home. This is your home. If you don't like something, feel free to tell me. Of course, I need that information as to why you don't like it. So I ask those questions. I have had clients I shouldn't have taken on because off not a right foot, whereas they didn't trust our timeline. And now we're in the middle of the project and they're wanting to finish the project tomorrow. At that point, you're in it. You just have to go through, do the best that you can for them. Lesson learned. You want to make sure that you are talking about all of these things. It's kind of like dating. You're talking about how your process goes, how you're going to invoice, the timeline, expectations, budget. And then if they don't like it,
Don't
they can
sign the contract. Okay.
go. Yeah.
So you have been in the creative field for 15 years, but you actually came to interior design from the fashion world, right?
Yes.
So have you, like creativity, what role did that play for you in grade school and middle school, high school, college?
I have always been a creative person. So, of course, I would fail in all of the math, science classes. History, I was not bad at, but art, I was always A plus. I loved art, painting, anything creative. I just exceeded. Going into fashion, I've always wanted to be a fashion model, and of course, that didn't happen. I decided to go into fashion design. I love drawing, and the whole fashion industry was so alluring to me. I definitely grew up during the whole Devil Wears Prada. So maybe that could have been a huge inspiration for me. So I did that for 10 years across different categories. I did everything from menswear, women's wear, junior, swim, athleisure, pretty much everything. Yeah.
Okay. And so when it came time to make that switch, was it like, oh, I'm doing this now? Or was it something that crept up on you? What were the conversations behind the scenes like of I'm leaving this career behind and I'm going a different direction?
I think it was something that was creeping up on me. I was hitting 10 years in. And it's a catty industry. You're working with a lot of women and you're constantly chasing the new trends, constantly finding what is new, what's innovative. And it just was wearing on me. It wasn't fun anymore. I was looking for something else to do. Then 2020 hit. We ended up purchasing our home in August, right in the thick of everything going on in 2020 with our masks and everything. We purchased our home. It was not what it is today. We did the whole remodel. Ignorance is bliss, right? You're going into something and you're like, this is so fun. And then after, it was, I mean, it was brutal. I learned a ton of lessons. I was able to communicate with contractors, electricians, plumbers, learned what not to do. We spent and wasted a lot of money. But months after our home was done and we were able to style it and really make our home ours, it just felt, I don't know, I love our home. It was that peace and happiness that I got walking through my home and finding the peace in every area, whether it's the living room or my bedroom. I thought, wow, I can't believe this is the same space. It had my heart, and this was what I wanted to do. I told my husband, I think I want to start a business. I went from 0 to 60. I took a 3-month course with a British interior designer, and she gave us the steps. So this week, your homework is to start a website. Next week, you're going to be creating your business and getting it official with whatever state or country you're in. It kind of forced me to hit those marks. I've always been a worker, so I would always do my homework. Anything that I'm told, I do. That kept me on track to hit each milestone. I started my business in the beginning of 2021, and I've just been going each day.
All right. And so your husband's been on board since day one, and he's actually on your team, right? He's labeled as a CEO.
So my husband in the beginning was a skeptic. He was not as probably going to be like, that's not true. But coming from making good money as a designer and then transferring into becoming an interior designer and seeing that, hey, I could make some money doing this. I definitely needed his help early on. There was a moment where the project started to pile, the deadline started to pile on top of each other, and I just didn't have enough hours in a 24-hour day to accomplish and hit those deadlines.
Yeah.
That's where I was like, I need help. I don't know what to do. And that's where he started to step in and realize she needs help. Because I am not a business person. I'm creative. Everything about me is creative. I love art. I've always been in the arts realm of creativity. I'm not really organized. I'm not process driven. So he has really had to step in and build that for us. And it's been the perfect match because without him, I don't think I would be doing this business.
That's fantastic. It's like when my husband and I did a kitchen reno together and we did a lot of DIY. We had the professionals for a few things, but knocking down walls and drywall. And it was just better if we weren't in the kitchen at the same time.
Wrong way.
So was he able to come in and say, hey, let me take this part off your plate? Or did you assign things to him? Or did you just kind of show him the whole mess and then he cherry? How did that work?
At that point, he was like, let me see what's going on. He knew he needed to step in. It helped me create my calendar for the week, a pipeline of projects, how to create a process, how to create contracts. He is a business person. He has an MBA. He's extremely smart. He's more of the business person than creative, and I'm the complete opposite. That is what taught me how to be organized. In the beginning, he would sit with me each week and create the calendar with me every weekend. We did that for, I would say, a year, probably even more. I got to the point where I could understand this is priority and these are not priorities. This is where I'm going to get ROI. I need to spend time in marketing, and this is where I'm going to spend time in design. He really helped establish that kind of more organized Janiece and business Janiece. Now I still do that each weekend. I do my own calendar. I know what I need to prioritize. What meeting do I need to go to? What meeting can I postpone? He has been so super helpful with us growing this business.
What role does he play now?
Now he is very business strategy. He's helping on evenings and weekends. He's not full time yet, doing all of our accounting, looking at the numbers, seeing our growth last year versus this year, numbers we have to hit. We work on goals and business strategies. What do we want to do? How do we invest our money? And is this a good return on our investment? For example, I started working with Nancy Quinn and Leslie Myrick, my business coaches. That was something him and I discussed. I came to a point where I told him, look, I need someone who has industry knowledge of dealing with designers and the process. And I need that type of guidance day to day because, like I said, I have an idea. I don't know how to execute it.
Oh, you're fine. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
We invested in starting to work with Nancy. And from day one, my first call with Nancy, I was crying.
I can
But
hear her voice. She's so great. I
yeah,
can hear her. She's no
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. I needed that. Working with Nancy, she's been such a leader in helping me take the right step, handle a situation the right way, or how are things in the industry? What are the standards, or what is she seeing? It's been such a good help, and so grateful to them,
Yeah,
really.
she's incredible. Both she and Leslie are just incredible humans. I'm glad you found them. I'm
Yeah.
going to send her this clip.
Ah,
She's so cool. So,
they
when
are.
it came to building your business, I know that you seek out education, you seek out knowledge, things that make your business work and your design better. And when you first started out, how did you even find your first client?
My very first client was my friend. She was doing her bathroom. She was so kind to give me the reins and really help her with her design. The second project was an actual paid client, and it was by the grace of God because she found me on House, and I believe she thought that I was another designer. That is literally the truth. Long story short, we worked, but at the end of it, I knew that's what she was thinking because she goes, you know what? I have to admit, at the very beginning, I was very, very scared. But it was a great friendship. She's an artist, so we talked a lot about art, and I think it was a primary bedroom and ensuite bathroom. It was like whole models where you have carpet running from the bedroom into your bathroom. So we redid that. But that was my first project. And again, that was something that my husband taught me. Let's use the software. So that was getting my first client. And I think that was, I got like a free trial on House, but I wasn't paying for ads at that point.
Are you paying for ads now?
Yeah, everything's strategic. Working with Nancy, everything's very strategic, especially as a small business. We are still a small business. So everything we invest has to be very thought out. We have to see an ROI, and we are keeping track of that. We invest in social media. I would love to hire a social media person to help me, but right now I do it myself. I love to still be me and give my comments the way I would respond.
Yeah, people can't see it, but they can feel it when it's not you and it's not quite authentic and it's not quite there.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
have to be better at showing up more authentic. Sometimes you get stuck in the day to day of just, oh, I need to get out all of these posts. I need to get back to that client and that vendor. There's so much. And that's where I was talking to you the last time about really creating that balance because I want to spend more time in marketing my business, but in an authentic way, because I want people to really truly get to know me and, not this, just beautiful website or photography, but it's like, who is this designer? Because that's who you're going to be working with me. I have to have that connection. So that's where I need to be better at putting myself out there.
Okay. So in terms of the kink in the hose, sometimes we get this vision of what I want and my goals. And when I reach there, in my mind, everything's going to be perfect. Everything's just going to run. It's going to be so nice, which never happens. There's always a kink in the hose somewhere. Would you say that social media and marketing is kind of your kink in the hose right now?
My time right now, with the changes we've incorporated into our processes, doing more of the implementation at being hourly. So my time is being spent a little bit more thoughtful. I do need to invest more time in marketing and I want to get back into blog posts. I love doing blog posts and creating content for social media. It's so fun for me because it's actually design work that I get to do. And the thought behind that, how do I reach my client? But I would say what's keeping me from that is not having enough time. And that is something I'm going to begin working with Brooke Stoll, refining it a little bit more so that I can have more time to do that.
And when you first hired your assistant designer,
Mhm.
an immediate shift of like, oh, I have more time, or is there just so much work that it just kind of like, thank goodness you're here, back.
Yeah, well, thank goodness you're here because I had a ton of projects. There was 1 month where I was presenting multiple times a week. I worked the entire month from morning till night, was losing my mind. And she came in at such a right moment. I wasn't even honestly looking. She was my photographer, and that's how we met. She was really interested in getting into interior design. I was looking for a photographer. We met the year prior. She would take photos of each project, and we connected. We started to build that relationship. 2 years ago, when I was venting to her about needing help and looking to hire someone, she said I would love to be considered. It never dawned on me that she would, but when she said that, I thought back to our relationship. We connected really well. She's very detailed, very hardworking, and it was such a blessing. We've been together for 2 years, and she's been so helpful. The lesson I have learned is need to delegate more. As business owners, we do everything and keep everything with us because we do it the best. Sometimes you just need to train someone and let them take care of it and free yourself up. So
Trust them? So
Yeah.
what's next for you? What's on the horizon in terms of goals or something that you're working towards?
Right now, I'm focusing on getting our business running in a way that I don't have to be so heavily involved in the day to day, making sure Jenny has everything she needs, and then also working with Brooke to see, do we need to hire someone, and then who is that person? I want every role to be very intentional. I want on the team to be needed. I want to make sure, everyone has their roles, responsibilities. We all work well together. And then I want to be a mom. I'm trying to set up the business so that I can have that time if I'm off a week. The business doesn't shut down, it's still going. And so that's where I'm working with Brooke to see how do we get to that point. So that's been my priority these past few months and will likely be what I'm going to be in 2026.
If you
Yeah.
were going to shout out your favorite inspiration, whether it's designers, contractors, photographers, who would be your top three?
I love looking at vintage books that are obviously interior design vintage books because you can find some really great details, whether it's a mid-century book, you can find some really great inspiration there that you can interpret and bring into today's designs. I get inspired by a lot of social media is good and bad because sometimes I have to shut it down where you start to feel like it's enough. Enough is enough, right? So I try to go back to my designer days in the fashion industry, pulling inspiration from different areas. So travel has been super crucial. My husband is from Barcelona. We go to Barcelona at least twice a year. Sometimes just getting out of my office, being out there and just walking and seeing the details, seeing art, maybe an art gallery. I love going to art galleries, letting myself get inspired. I'm a huge museum lover. So just walking through those halls of past artists and seeing their work, that's super inspiring to me.
Lovely. That is so lovely, Janiece. We talked about what's next and what inspires you. Do you have a sense for what that magic oomph is that your clients come to you for?
I think aside from design, because everyone can design pretty things for the most part, I think for me, it's their ability to connect with me. I'm not this pretentious interior designer that knows everything. I'm being authentic and I really have their best interest in mind when I'm designing their homes. It's not just a project that I have and I'm excited to get onto the next one. I'm picking materials that I'm thinking about how are they going to wear over time? How is the maintenance going to be on these materials? How are my clients going? The things that I care about. I want that to show up when they see me and talk to me, that kind of love for their home that they have.
That harkens back to when you finished your own home and it was that feeling of delight around every corner.
Yeah, that is my favorite part of a project when at the end of a project, when we're all almost done and the furniture is being put together, I tend to get really emotional because you see it come to life. These years, months of hard work, seeing it on a computer screen and seeing it in a tiny little swatch like this, seeing it all come together and then seeing my client's eyes light up. It is such a moving feeling to experience. Much more emotional experience than what I've spent the past years as a designer. This was such a more impactful industry for me to come into, a more impactful use of my talents and skills that I feel like I was meant to do this. I feel like everything that I've done in the past, all of the different companies I've worked with, different scenarios I've been in has led me to this.
That's great. I work mostly with interior designers and like this is my jam. I love this industry and people from the outside are like, why? And I'm like, because the impact they have when somebody walks into their home and then they can just go like,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
I
Thank you
really
so much for being here today, Janice. This has been such a lovely conversation. I had such a great time.
thank you for having me. Loved it.
Thanks for listening to Why My Business Works. I hope you found some ideas to chew on, perspectives that give you a boost, and a little shot of courage to do things your way. Until next time, I'm Megan Dolly, and I'm rooting for you.